Self-help, it's very occasionally an earnest attempt at helping you become a better person, but more often than not, it is an earnest attempt at somebody self-helping themselves to your money. You'll never catch one of those self-help freaks getting in my head. It used to be back in the day that these self-help coaches were limited to books and in-person talks, things like that. You really had to hone your scam to get somewhere. You know, there was a little more involved, there was a little more effort needed. But in our current digital age, where any chump with a microphone and a camera has the ability to get on YouTube and spew out some word vomit, why are you looking at me like that? It can be hard to tell who's really trying to help you and who's just trying to profit off your insecurities. I recently stumbled upon one of the worst, most sexist self-help guides I've ever seen in my life, and I just have to share it with you because this guy has like 800,000 followers on YouTube, right? He's getting some traction, and I think he's gone a little viral recently for his terrible response to his female critics. So let's take a look at this chump and see if he's just some little self-help screwball, or if we should
self-help ourselves to the carcass of his digital reputation. Soup's on, motherfuckers.
So we're all familiar with the Andrew Tates, the Fresh and Fits, right? The real on-the-nose alpha male douchebag type of podcasters, people who are slinging self-help advice that is just completely off-base, sexist, racist, all sorts of crazy shit, right? These alpha assholes wear their shit on their sleeves, okay? It's pretty easy to see them coming from a mile away. But what about self-help guides who don the trappings of the normal dude, right? Softer, more liberal-minded kind of guy, kind of right off the appearance, but, crack into it a little more, and he's spewing some of the same sort of toxic bullshit that these other guys talk about. Well, that's what we're getting with today's bozo, okay? The guy's channel's name is Psych Hack, and I'm glad he is putting it right on the nose, because he's definitely a psych hack. You know what I'm saying? No, obviously that name is indicating that he's gonna give you some hacks to improve your psychological well-being or something like that, right? Before we get into it, a little background on this guy, because, apparently he is a doctor, right? His name is Dr. Mantis Toboggan. No, I'm sorry. That's Dr. Orion Teraban. He's shilling 1-hour consultations for $1,000 an hour. So let's keep that in our mind as we see what his YouTube advice is here. Because, his personal one-on-one advice, it's not going to deviate much from the thought process that he's demonstrating here. So let's keep that value in mind. $1,000 for an hour with Mantis Toboggan. Now, don't worry, there's discount opportunities if you are in his Captain Quarters Club, which is a members-only community for high-achieving individuals. You will get 20% off of that. So it's not going to end up being as expensive as you think. It's only going to be $800, okay? And the Captain's Quarters, that's cheap too. $100 a month, a value at any price, to talk to your bros and, just talk about why chicks are, lame or whatever. I don't really know what happens in the Captain Quarters, but if that's still too rich for your blood, you might not be a high achiever. Worry the fuck not. Dr. Toboggan's got you covered, okay? He's got a book too. So, and they're all linked in the video. Don't worry, your opportunities to improve, they're right at your fingertips, okay? A bargain at any price. Okay, so that's like the menu, all right? A lot of opportunities to improve and, benevolent for putting some information like this right in front of us. So let's take that value there. That's a high achiever's value. And let's take a look at some of this high achiever advice here and see what we can figure out. Now, don't worry. The irony is not lost on me that this video is him framing things as, responding to his female critics. You're obviously a man in search of a woman, coming to a video like this. That should be an indication for you, okay? If the number one critic he has of his advice for dating and male self-improvement is women, guys, you don't need this. Nobody needs this, okay? I'm not saying there isn't merit in some sort of self-help something or other, but you cannot be joining the captain's quarters if you have anything to do with this person and you're a dude and you're just trying to, like, you know, get in a relationship, find a partner, you know, and you're looking for love like so many other people. This is not the answer, okay? Go to the people in your life. Go to women you know. Go start with your mom or your sister and ask them about how you should be interacting with women if you have no idea, okay? Things like this will never, ever help you. Hopefully nobody watching this actually needs that advice and you're just here to watch a clown get dunked on. I hope that's the case. But if it's not, please, you need to find people in your life. That's the only way to find a relationship and to improve. You know, self-improvement doesn't come from watching a video or something like that. It comes from you interacting with people in the real world and learning and becoming a better person. It comes from experience, meeting diverse people, becoming a person centered around bettering your life and bettering the lives of others, right? That's the only way any of this happens. It doesn't happen with Dr. Toboggan's courses. You're just pissing your money away and giving this guy But let's actually listen to some of his advice first, because we're going off of a whole bunch of assumptions here, okay? Let's listen to what he has to say. Oh, by the way, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, please like and subscribe. We're a little channel over here trying to grow, trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. Big boy numbers right off the bat there, okay? Little boy numbers, but big boy numbers, okay? So help me reach that goal if you're having a good time. We do lots of cool stuff over here. We're not always talking about quackery like Dr. Toboggan over here. Whatever we end up talking about, it's interesting. So again, like and sub if you're into that kind of stuff, and let's keep going.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraband, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is responding to my female critics. So, as I've said in previous episodes, the overwhelming response to my channel has been positive, and I'm very appreciative and grateful for that. However, a very small percentage of the feedback that I've received has been quite negative, and it always involves my discussions on intersexual dynamics. And even within that space, the thing that has gotten me the most flack is my discussion on women's optimal dating strategies within the contemporary sexual marketplace.
If you're using the term contemporary sexual marketplace, you need to get that out of your vocabulary right now. Your life is not a business. Interactions with people are not a business. They're not a transaction. They're not an exchange. We're humans. We're designed to interact with each other, all right? It is not a bargain. It's not a deal. And if you try to approach somebody looking to be in a relationship and you approach it as a marketplace, you're not going to have success. Nobody is an asset or an item, right? So that's already just bad logic right off the bat.
I've done a series on this topic on my channel, and I've spoken about these strategies on some of my media appearances. And even within that topic, the thing that has generated by far the most vitriolic reaction is my advice that women be the nastiest, sluttiest versions of themselves with the men they want to have relationships with.
All right, so you can see where this is kind of going to go, right? Already the language he's using is sexist. I mean, saying that someone should be the sluttiest version of themselves, that term is loaded with shame right off of the bat, okay? Your sexuality is not a negotiation. It's not a bargaining chip. Your sexuality is your sexuality. It's something to experience in your life when it's right for you, when you're comfortable with it. It's not something to be pressured into. It's not something to coerce out of somebody. It's not an asset. That's sick. That's like a really gross way of thinking. And if you're thinking that way, you're not going to have success finding anybody. You know, this is just the way it is. Again, talk to women in your life. Ask them if they think something like this would make them want to be in a relationship with someone. I guarantee you it wouldn't. And if this advice is supposed to be geared at women, it's really sick of you as a doctor to be using language that is derogatory and loaded with shame. It's just like, I don't even understand, how did this guy like get a license to do whatever. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So this is really, really gross. I don't know if this guy's ever met a woman. I don't know if he's married or in a relationship. I sure hope not, because I would feel very worried for the person he's in a relationship with. It's just gross to like see people as assets, to view interactions as a marketplace exchange. That's like, commodifying humans. That's disgusting.
Like, that one piece of advice is probably responsible for 90% of my negative feedback.
Maybe it's bad advice. Maybe it's bad advice.
And because I'm authentically interested in helping people, and because this seems to be an issue, I want to use this episode to respond to a few of the more substantive pieces of criticism I've heard with respect to this piece of advice.
How generous. He again reassures us that he's genuinely looking to help us, and that's why he offers these YouTube videos for free with links to his $1,000 an hour consultations and his $100 a month yacht club membership. And just don't forget Dr. Toboggan's value menu as we're going through all this.
And I use the term substantive because the vast majority of that feedback was not substantive and does not deserve to be discussed. Okay?
Cool. So he doesn't listen to anybody, and, there's not even a reason to hear any of those criticisms and respond to them. Very, very good, therapist. What is this guy? What is Dr. Toboggan? I don't understand what he's actually supposed to be here. Like, it's very confusing.
Here we go. The first thing you have to understand is that women have to be the nastiest, sluttiest versions of themselves with somebody. Like, they have to.
Why? Why do they have to? Sexuality is a spectrum. Some people are asexual. You don't have to be anything to anyone. You just live within your comfort, and your partner lives within their comfort, and your comforts will kind of like mesh together, because that's like how partnership works, right? If you're with a partner that's right for you, you're gonna mesh in those ways. So why does somebody have to be the nastiest version of themselves to someone? I just, don't listen to this guy.
That's the nature of superlatives. So whether she's consciously intending it or not, the fact of the matter is that every woman will be the nastiest, sluttiest version of themselves with someone.
It's just the dumbest logic I've ever heard. I swear to God, I do think, sometimes I'm like, if this was a parody, this would be genius. If this was like a Tim and Eric skit or something, this was something that was supposed to be taken as 100% irony, this would be brilliant comedy. I say it all the time. The comedians we have now totally suck. They're just lame Rogan sphere losers, and it's just crybaby shit. It's awful, right? If somebody came out and did just a blazing satire of a guy like this, that would be the next great comedian. Come on, somebody do this guy. He's fucking lame. I just can't believe somebody genuinely thinks like this, and I can't believe that person wields the title of doctor of something. Okay? Fuck you, Dr. Toboggan. You suck.
What I'm advising is that she be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with the man she wants to have a relationship with.
Oh.
So if you're disagreeing with that statement and you concede that she has to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with someone.
Nobody's conceding that. Concede these nuts.
That means that you're functionally arguing that she should be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with someone she doesn't want to be in a relationship with. And how exactly does that serve a woman's dating goals? If she has to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with somebody, why shouldn't she use that behavior instrumentally and strategically in order to secure a relationship with a good prospect?
Because that's psychotic. We don't operate like that. Your sexuality is your sexuality. You don't need to wield it like a weapon. First of all, I don't think any women would actually ever listen to this guy. Okay. If you are a woman that listens to this guy, please explain what value you see in his information, because I understand men going to this guy, right? All this alpha bullshit. It's making men think that they have to be and act a certain way, and that way involves domination and power and, somebody else being subservient to them, when that's just not the nature of the world, right? We should be interacting with each other on the level, right? We should all be treating each other in reasonable ways, in equal ways. Like, this is insanity. So I don't think women would actually go and listen to the advice, but it does worry me that, there would be men who would, listen to this advice and, potentially be in his yacht club and stuff like that, paying that kind of money. Because, hearing messages like this, it's going to hurt your life. Hearing these messages and taking that in as the way things are supposed to be, that's gonna just hurt you and line this guy's pockets. And, he says he really cares about you, but that couldn't be further from the truth. So I'm telling you, if you listen to advice like this, it's gonna hurt your life, and nobody wants that. Come on, everybody loses when people listen to advice like this. And it makes men isolated and lonely and dangerous to women, and it makes women feel like they can't trust men. And, it's a bad cycle. We need to get away from, people like this preying on the insecurities of men. That is going to have to start with us men being better to each other, being more emotional, open and understanding, willing to listen to each other. It's all easier said than done, but it's got to start somewhere.
Because it will absolutely help her to secure a relationship with that prospect. On the other hand, encouraging the converse, that a woman should be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself, irrespective of whether she desires a relationship with the man in question, that's even sluttier than what I'm recommending. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
No.
If it's inescapable that someone must benefit from that side of her,
it's not inescapable. Nobody is entitled to benefit off of anybody's side of anything.
why not have it be the man with whom she desires a relationship? Use that side strategically, okay? So that's the first piece of substantive criticism. The second piece goes a little something like this. Well, Orion, wouldn't following your advice just create this slippery slope to the bottom? If every woman has to be the nastiest, sluttiest version of herself with every subsequent man she wants to have a relationship with, wouldn't this just lead to women becoming these degraded sexual animals? Now, I have a couple of responses to this criticism. In the first place, like I mentioned in the original episode, this advice doesn't necessarily have to do with sex. Now, obviously it could, but if you're a young woman and all you've ever done is hold a boy's hand, this advice still applies because there are ways of holding a boy's hand that communicate, say, platonic friendship. And there are ways of holding a boy's hand that directly impart, say, a tantalizing sensuality.
What? Excuse me. What did you just say to young women? Arrest this man. Arrest this man. No. You don't give advice to young women. Ew, disgusting. Your advice is, if you hold hands, do the nastiest handhold you can do. You're so gross, dude. You're so gross. I don't even know where to begin with that one. What do you even say to that? That's horrifying.
In giving this advice, I'm trying to include as many of the straight women in the sexual marketplace as possible, which includes young, inexperienced women who may still be virgins. And I'm definitely not suggesting that they just throw that away wantonly. All right?
This guy really has no business talking to young women. This is sick.
Now, in the second place, there might be some truth to this objection. If you follow this advice, it does mean that with each subsequent attempt to secure a relationship, a woman will need to be at least as nasty and slutty as the last attempt. But here's the thing.
No, okay, yeah, again, I don't think, God, I hope nobody needs advice like this, but no, you never need to measure up your sexuality against a previous partner's sexuality. That's never, ever the case. A relationship should be based on, the factors of a relationship that are important to you. You need to figure out what you value in a relationship first and foremost before anything else, right? Like, do you want a family? Do you want somebody who is funny? Do you want somebody who will listen to you? Do you want somebody who's very emotionally in touch with themselves, right? Do you want somebody who doesn't talk about emotions a lot? Because you don't really talk about emotions a lot and you're more comfortable silent. Like, those sort of things are way more important than measuring up to somebody's previous sexual encounter or something. That is such a weird piece of advice to give. It's gross. It's wrong. I can't believe that Dr. Toboggan here is a real doctor. Like, this man belongs in a pond. He is a quack, all right? He belongs billed deep in a bag of stale Wonder Bread, not giving anybody advice.
Between holding hands and, like, porn star sex 10 minutes into the first date, there is a long...
Oh, I hate that he's doing this. Dude, you suck. You suck.
Distance.
So this guy's using the term porn star sex. Like, I mean, like, just not only are you unfit to give people advice, but, like, what is wrong with your own brain that you're measuring people in these standards? Like, nobody has to measure up to porn to be a valuable partner. Like, that is insane. This dude is, like, outrageous.
You do not go from one to the other overnight. So if that's what's happening, the issue is not with my advice. My advice is good.
No, your advice isn't good. You can't just be like, the issue's not with my advice. My advice is good. No, your advice is ass, dude. You give some of the worst advice I've ever heard in my life.
The issue is with the woman's discernment with respect to the men to whom she is strategically showing that side of herself. Because if the woman is in the degraded porn star stage, that probably means that she's implemented this strategy incorrectly dozens, if not hundreds of times.
It's just so gross to calculate and, like, try to, like, turn your relationships into stats. Like, you're putting these things on a spreadsheet, and, like, this whole, like, it's just so shame-based, everything he's saying. It's just so gross. This is, like, genuinely makes me very sad if there's young men who listen to any of this advice, or young women that listen to any of this advice. Like, young people need way better advice givers than this. The fact that he's talking to young people at all is just sick. And not for nothing, just the smugness that this guy talks with, like, being like, my advice is good. Like, you know, I'm not anybody to give you advice. Like, you, if you're watching this video, you shouldn't just blindly listen to my advice. I'm not qualified to give you any advice in your life, okay? I can, you know, Sherpa you to some entertaining videos of clowns who give terrible advice, but I'm not an advice giver. I never advertise myself as that, you know? I'm just a regular person who's had the good fortune of, like, being in good relationships and things like that.
So the problem is not the strategy, it's in the deployment. So that's the second piece of substantive criticism. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message.
Send this episode to nobody. Send it send it to hell. If you can send it right to the devil, do that.
It's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. And you can also tip me in proportion to the value you feel you've derived from this episode, either through the YouTube thanks button.
He owes me money. I feel like I've been robbed of value from this episode, so he owes me money. Fuck this guy.
Or directly through my website using the donation button. I depend on your donations to make all this happen. I really appreciate your support. Thank you. I will also soon be starting a weekly newsletter, so if you want to opt in, you can do so through my website. Okay. Let's get back to it. Now, the third piece of criticism kind of dovetails with what I was just saying, which is that this advice just doesn't work. Like, if there are women who have implemented this advice dozens or hundreds of times, doesn't that suggest the strategy was ineffective in securing the relationship? Good question. What we have to understand is that in today's sexual marketplace, in which sex precedes commitment, but in which men continue to be the gatekeepers of commitment, women generally have to use sex to secure commitment.
That's wrong. No, women don't need to use sex to secure commitment. That's insane. You commit to each other based off of your desire to commit to each other. Like, if you don't want to commit to someone, you're just not going to do it. It has nothing to do with sex. Don't think like that.
Men are defended against commitment in the same way that women are defended against sex. Like, women don't and shouldn't give sex away to every man who wants it. By the same token, men don't and shouldn't just give commitment away to every woman who wants it. Remember, wanting is free. It costs nothing to want.
So he's basically saying that, like, the value of sex for women is the same as value for commitment for men. Like, this is just insane. And this is what I think is really gross about, like, commodifying these things. It's inhuman. You're breaking people down into, like, value propositions. If you're doing stuff like that, that's really gross. I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like hyper-capitalism or something that makes people think this way, or I don't know what it is. I don't know what's bringing value propositions into the way you think about pursuing people. The best thing you can do in pursuing somebody is just, like, be a normal human being, interact with people like a normal human. Like, have you ever just, like, gone to the grocery store and, like, just, like, gone to the register and you were just normal? Okay, be normal like that, right? Don't start right off the bat with, like, some sort of grand proposition, or just be normal. Start a regular conversation, right? I mean, talk about music, talk about whatever, but do not try to, like, assign somebody a value. That's gross.
But it costs something to give. And women providing sex is no longer sufficient to secure commitment. This is because in today's sexual marketplace, it is expected. And just like women don't necessarily reward men just for doing what is expected of them, men don't necessarily reward women for the same. It is what it is. Just like women are disincentivized from opening the gate of sex to everybody and anybody who wants it, men are disincentivized from opening the gate of commitment to anybody and everybody who wants that. Women.
But, like, people don't just, like, want commitment from you without, like, a previous relationship or something like that, Like, people can want sex from you with, like, no pretense or anything. Like, this is just not a one-to-one equation. Take your equations out of being a human. Just be a human. Live in the moment and, like, understand where people are coming from. Be empathetic. Be genuinely curious about other people. That's actually probably one of the best things you can do. Okay. You want to know how to develop a relationship with someone and, like, develop a good rapport with somebody that you're interested in. Take an interest in them and ask them about things. Listen when they talk to you and respond to them like regular. It's not about looks. It's not about money. It's really about interaction and just respecting somebody as a person, just like the same as you are, right? That's the best thing you can do. Be genuinely curious about someone. Be genuinely kind to somebody, right? Understanding. Have a two-way conversation. When you ask them something and they respond, ask a follow-up question, right? Just be listening. Be real, okay? Don't come in with these plans. You've already failed if you're coming in with a grand plan or a strategy or something like that, right? That's not a human interaction. Human interactions are when you walk up to somebody and, you just start talking about something, or you connect about something that you both like, right? You've had them before. We've all had them, okay? Maybe not with someone of the opposite sex that you're interested in, but think about the times that you've related to somebody on something that you've enjoyed, right? You don't always need to have that same interest with someone, but show them that you're passionate about something, that you are an interesting person, okay? And that you find them to be an interesting person too. That's it. Regular stuff.
What's going to open that gate is not you standing outside declaring that you're looking for a serious relationship. That is like a salesman knocking on your door and saying, hey, I want to make some money here, open up.
So this guy's basically saying the alternative to doing something not normal, knocking on somebody's door and saying you want commitment, is to do something not normal. Analyze them, figure out value, commitments, and propositions, and strategize your approach based off of value and blah. It's gross.
Open up. It's like, yeah, I get that, but what's that got to do with me? Both are entering the interaction exclusively focused on what they want. I want to make some money. I want a committed relationship. Let me in. Like, what are you talking about? So how does a salesman actually get you to engage? By offering something that the other person might want. And with respect to relationships between men and women, it's safe to assume that something the other person might want is sex. If a woman...
No, again, all right. I'm just gonna it's not like that. It's people just want to interact with each other, and if they enjoy interacting with you, they will want to interact with you more. It's as simple as that.
If a woman stands in front of a man's gate and instead offers a sexual opportunity, it will significantly increase the likelihood that he will open it up and invite her in. That's why I say this is the Trojan horse of getting a committed relationship.
That's so
now,
gross.
that in itself is not enough to secure a relationship.
Again, if you need to think of like ancient Greek trickery to get into a relationship, that's a problem. Don't listen to this guy. What? He's telling you to Trojan horse somebody? That's insane. If you're trying to siege somebody's castle walls, not a euphemism, then yes, Trojan horse them. If you are trying to get into a relationship with somebody, don't Trojan horse them. What? That's what?
That's why I did a series on this topic. It's not just one thing, but it is generally enough to get you through the door. And you have to get through the door in order to stay in the house. Now, a lot of women are afraid of just being used for a short-term sexual experience and then cast out. But that does kind of mean that you're further along. Like, you have to be let in first in order to be cast out. And this strategy is for women who have difficulty getting in with the men with whom they most want to have relationships. In order to stay in, you need a different strategy. Just like it's presumptuous or entitled to assume that you should just be let in, it's arrogant or clueless.
All right. I can't do any more of this guy's advice. We're going to leave it at here and just say, like, guys, if you want a committed relationship, it's not about getting in and then changing your strategy to be in a more beneficial position to be in a good relationship with No. Like, enjoy your time with somebody and you will want to spend more time with them. They will want to spend more time with you. It's as simple as that. Get this strategy out of your head. Please, 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 if you are listening to Dr. Mantis Toboggan, stop, save your money. He doesn't deserve your money. He doesn't deserve your support. You deserve much better than the shit Dr. Mantis Toboggan is slinging at you, okay? This is not good advice. And, like, men, I'm going to talk to the men real quick. We need to be better to each other, more genuine, more authentic. We need to be more human, being more calculating, strategic, all of this, like, you know, hustle, grind, fucking like turn everything into a value proposition. No, that's never going to work. That's based off of like capitalism, and capitalism inherently takes the humanity away from people. Okay. So if you are approaching your relationships like capital, you're not going to have a human relationship. You're not going to be happy. Okay. You need to be normal to people. You need to treat people just regular. Okay. I don't know what's going to change this sort of stuff. You know, it's kind of scary that this guy has, 802,000 subscribers. He's got a following, plenty of people listening to him. I hope those are like so many people that are just kind of ironically listening, but I don't think that's the case. Again, this kind of thought process doesn't help anybody. So I don't know. Let's find a way to fix it. I don't know what it's going to take, but let's at least call out a charlatan for being a charlatan when we see it. All right. And this Dr. Mantis Toboggan dude is a total charlatan. Like and sub if you made it this far. Thank you guys for joining me. YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video down here. Check out this video on millennial and Gen Z defining products, because I talk about that kind of stuff a lot here. Millennial, so yeah, that's the way we do it. And yeah, subscribe if you're digging what we're doing, because we want to do more of it, all right? So thank you guys for joining me. I've been Hellion.vision. I am out of here. Later.